And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Doubting Thomas monthly recap for October 2022, even though we're already over a week into November. I'm your host, Adam Douding. Joining me as always is Mr. Cliff Thomas. Cliff, how are you doing this evening?
Who's counting?
Yeah, right?
I don't even know what month it is anymore, except you just told me.
Yeah, that's very true. And I just wanted to apologize to our listeners before we get too far ahead of ourselves. I wanted to apologize for this podcast being so late, but Cliff unfortunately died for 2 weeks. He was only mostly dead though, so now he's back, which is good. Although you can tell from his voice, he's not exactly at 100%. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why we are so late.
feel like I still have like one toenail in the grave, but so you just get
Right.
to hear a raspy voice version of me for what I hope is just this one episode.
And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. We don't mind a raspy Cliff every now and then. And actually, I've got a little bit of a sore throat, so I wanted to get on the air before my voice goes because otherwise it would just be really, really super bad. So, the Doubting Thomas monthly recap is, kind of revamping a little bit due to the new format. Just wanted to take a moment to step back and kind of give a state of the union as to how things are going. We have a new graphic that starts off our YouTube video, although it's a little glitchy. Cliff, you might want to look into that. But
That's a feature, not a
it's a
not an
feature.
issue. Yeah.
Gotcha. But anyway, yeah. So we've got that. So thanks very much to Cliff for putting that together. So that's fun. And so it's been about a month, a little bit over a month since our last update. In that time, we have done one YouTube review, which honestly, I was kind of happy with how it came out. I was really, really excited to see what that was going to be like, and I honestly think that. I think we nailed it. I think we hit it out of the park. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think especially for our first time
Yeah.
welcoming review cam and
Yep.
its buddy.
Yep. And still looking for names on that one, by the way. So
Yeah.
go check out that video and comment down below. But yeah, so like, and I said this on Twitter, but I have been looking for a way to come up with like a video review / podcast hybrid, and I think I'm very happy with what we have right now. I think I'm pretty satisfied with how that came out, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these because we have things, man. We have a lot of things
We
that we need to
do.
review. And that's another thing that's gotten kind of shelved while Cliff was recovering from his near death. Was doing these video reviews. So but that's good. Cliff is well on his way to recovery, so we should be able to start banging those reviews out just in time for the holidays.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I don't know that right now, and I'm assuming it's going to be this way by the time this actually goes live, but there is a wave of the flu that is at least where I live, just taking people out. I mean, my wife told me that, and she's a teacher, for those of you who don't know, that they had 108 students out today.
Oh, Jesus,
And
really?
I would think, yeah.
Out
And
of
I
like
think the majority,
110? I mean, you don't live in a very big town. So,
no, but yeah, exactly. So this is, that's just the middle school. So that's a lot of people. And I mean, judging by, I mean, the stuff that I had honestly was worse than my experience with COVID. So, and it is just, it just, as you can hear by my voice, just refuses to completely let go of me. So it's been a long recovery process. So, thanks to everyone for being patient. Even if you didn't know what was going on, but I'm glad to be back. I'm glad, that people can actually understand me now. This weekend I was traveling and I literally had to have I either needed to learn American Sign Language or just have my wife translate for me. I'm just kind of like, I felt like I was in like a Godfather movie where I was like whispering over to my wife like she was a consigliere.
yeah,
And then she could like tell people what I was trying to say.
Yeah. And, we were going to try to get on a couple of days ago, and Cliff sent me like an audio file of his voice at that time. I'm like, oh, screw it. Never, we can't do it. So, I mean, it was imagine The Godfather, but, if he was being choked out.
Right, exactly.
It was really bad. So, well, I'm glad to see that you are feeling better. And yeah, there's been something going around. it's knocking a lot of people out. So don't feel bad. But anyway, so what's going on with the show now? We're going to take a moment to talk about the big story of the last 2 weeks. That's going to come up in a little bit. As for like next steps, we've got holidays coming up, but I don't think Cliff and I are going to be taking a whole lot of time off. We're definitely I don't think I'm going to be putting the show on hiatus for the end of December like I have in the past, because we're not going anywhere, because we're broke. We went to Disney and Hawaii in the last
Yeah,
year, so we're not
you
traveling
guys kind of blew
anywhere
your
ever.
vacation wad
Oh
for
my
the year, I
god,
think.
it was so bad. It was so bad. But anyway, so yeah, I don't think we're going to be taking a whole lot of time off, but we got a couple of reviews coming up. I know what's on the docket right now is we've got the Nothing ear ones that are coming up. That's probably going to be next. After that, I know Cliff and I think we're going to do kind of like a roundup of charging stations for like specifically like iPhone MagSafe charging stations, which I'm looking forward to doing because we've got like 2 or 3 now. I think that
Right.
that we need to talk about. And we've got a couple of other things that are just kind of like laying around the house that I've been using kind of off and on, like stuff that I've bought that I actually would like to talk about, and other things that we can do a review on before they
Yeah,
get
I've
too
definitely
old.
got like a few things in the queue. That's for sure. Things that I'm
Yeah,
I'm
and you've got the
actively testing
iPhone. We've got
now.
to talk about the iPhone still. So,
But
and maybe
yeah,
that.
and in
may-
addition to the iPhone, I've got a few other things that I'm actively testing, which I mean I can talk about if you want to, but
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
So
you've got those cameras that
yeah,
you were setting up.
so I can't remember is it Nui?
Newy, yeah.
Nui, right. So I have a camera system from Nui, which I'm in the middle of testing. In fact, I just charged the one for the front of my house today, and then I just got my Wacom Intuos
Yes,
Pro
I
M set
I'm
up
really
today.
looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting to see how we try to review that, because
Yeah.
it's gonna put review cam and such things to the test as
Yeah,
far as
some
our
sharing
format
stuff.
is concerned.
And speaking of which,
So,
I've actually got a really neat device, and I've had this for. I was actually surprised, like as to how long I've had this because it just kind of fell off my radar for a while. But I've got a telescope that I still need to review.
oh, that's right.
The EV Scope 2, which I've been learning a little bit more about it because it was funny because like I didn't use it for the longest time because I lost the charging cable for it.
Oh,
But then I found it and I was able to charge it back up. And in that time, they had actually redone the app. So I like had to relearn the app and everything. And I've actually gotten some good stuff out of it recently. So I think what we're going to do for that one is I think we're going to do a review from my enclosed porch with the telescope actually like capturing images on
oh,
camera. I
how
think that's going
cool.
to be fun. That's the plan. So I'm gonna have to
We'll
like
have
move.
to plan for a clear night sky on your side.
Yeah, we're gonna have to plan for a clear night sky that hopefully isn't too cold. But I'm gonna have to like move my whole setup outside and like into the sun porch and set up review cam out there and stuff like that. So it's gonna be interesting. But I really want to do that because my phone has to connect to the Wi-Fi coming off of the telescope, so I can't be like in my basement,
So
while it's outside.
is the telescope like does it have a proprietary like barrel charger or something that you
No,
can't
well,
just use
no,
like
it's
USB-C?
it's the stupidest thing in the world. It has a USB-C, but there is some kind of like I think there's some kind of like converter on it or something, or
A
like
little like brick on the in that
like a
on
little
the
guy, like a little itty bitty
yeah,
guy, like right towards the end, which I must do something with the power distribution because I
yeah.
could not charge it off of any other USB-C
It
charger that I
probably
had.
steps it down or something. I really actually
Yeah,
don't
it could
know.
be because I mean I tried everything from like a 10-watt charger up to a 125-watt charger. No, 100. I think it max output is 100. But still, like I tried every like level that I could find, and I couldn't get this thing to charge. So I think it has something to do with the power distribution
Yeah,
inside that. I'm
yeah.
not sure exactly what it is, but it is USB-C, which was maddening. Uh, But anyway, I found it, so it's fine. I'm not going to lose it again. But yeah, so that's going to be really really fun. It's going to be a fun new toy to play with. And speaking of fun new toys, um, a certain richest man in the world got a fun new toy to play with since we last talked. That is, Elon Musk has finally completed his purchase of Twitter, and it has been like watching a kid play with a new toy in real time. It's been
And he didn't
absolutely.
read the manual first before
He did not read the manual. Now,
just
I've
jumped
been
right in.
I have been editing for Slash Gear, which and th- so it's been my experience that the term editor means different things for different sites. Now, an editor on Slash Gear actually is someone who edits pieces that have been written by writers. So, like, it's somebody who reads them over and adjusts them for flow and
Right, right.
makes sure literally all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed and whatnot. So I've been reading all these stories. Like, it has been a flood of Twitter and Elon Musk stories for the last 2 weeks. We went to a friend's house on Saturday, and I walked in the house and I said, "Now, I'm not going to say that if anybody says the word Elon Musk, I'm going to leave." But I will say that the number of times you say Elon Musk will increase the likelihood that I will leave because it has been, oh my God, there's just been so much Elon Musk news, which honestly I think was his goal from the start. Like, I think he wanted to know what's a way that I can keep my name in the headlines for like ever. And you know what, Elon, you nailed it. You got it. You hit it. You
That was
hit
his
it.
goal.
Yeah,
He's doing a good job with it.
exactly. Exactly. So
And
Elon Musk completed his purchase, and I want to hear what you think about what's going on there, Cliff, before
well,
I sound off on my own thoughts.
sure. So the first thing that I wanted to that I thought about this was, it was up in the air for months.
Mm-hmm.
It was announced that he was looking to purchase it, and he had entered into an agreement, and then it seemed like he was actively trying to get out of it by saying that Twitter wasn't being honest with their stated amount of bots
Right.
or versus active users. And then just all of a sudden, in like 2 days, there was I saw a video of him like literally like carrying a box of stuff in to Twitter headquarters. It was just like he was moving in.
Was that the same
It
video?
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
because he did post a video of him carrying a sink into
that's what it was.
Twitter headquarters.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, yeah. And then it was on like Donkey Kong or Twitter in this case.
Right.
But, um, you know, I think I said something to the effect of this before when we discussed this on a Doubting Thomas months ago that, I with this, I kind of wanted to reserve judgment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, I think a lot of people just had knee jerk reactions to him actually like starting in the last week or so. And, he has made a lot, has done a lot of actions. I mean,
Yes.
he has
Yes,
cleaned
he has.
house.
He's been busy.
He has been very busy. But in terms of how it affects me so far, it doesn't seem to have.
Not a hell of a lot. No.
Right.
No. I
And
agree.
so while I definitely hate that so many people lost their jobs, which
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll talk about. I mean, this is just kind of my like
Mm-hmm.
overview of what's been going on. I just don't want to wring my hands too much because I don't know if it's in the end a positive or a negative thing. I will say the one thing that I thought was kind of funny was he talked about, I don't know if it's actually happened, but he talked about bringing over software engineers and quality assurance engineers from SpaceX.
I know he's brought in people from Tesla. I don't know about SpaceX.
Okay. So yeah, and Tesla.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder how shareholders at Tesla feel about this because
That's a good question.
these are separate companies.
Right.
And shareholders are, those salaries are being paid to create software for end users of Tesla hardware.
So it's my
And
understanding. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't mean to
no, it's fine.
cut you off. It's my understanding that it is not uncommon for Musk-owned companies to contract engineers out to each other. So, like a Tesla engineer will go and do their normal shift at Tesla, and work on self-driving that doesn't self-drive, that type of stuff, and then they'll contract out over to SpaceX to solve some kind of like you know reentry equation or something, like whatever. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly. I don't do engineering stuff, but
Right.
I read in a few different places that it's not uncommon for Elon Musk to bring engineers, to have them contract out to other Elon Musk companies.
Which would make a lot more sense with companies that are privately held, right? But Tesla
Right.
is not one of those.
Right.
And that's where I thought it was a little strange.
Yeah.
But uh, we might see some lawsuits. We might not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll see lawsuits of some kind
Oh, I
in
guarantee you we
relation in
will.
relation to
I think we already
Twitter in the
have.
next year.
I
Well,
think I
right.
think California employees of Twitter are already filing suit against Twitter because Twitter failed to give adequate notice to the layoffs. There's a federal act, and then there's a California statute which is even more strict, saying that a certain amount of notice has to be given when laying off. When you have so many employees and you're laying off a certain percentage of those
Percentage of them,
employees,
right?
you need to give like a certain amount of notice. Now, I would think that saying we're going to lay you off, but we're going to pay you through January, like I would think that would meet that requirement. I don't know if that's what happened, but like I would have to think that there's a way around that. I know that when I got laid off from one of my from my customer service job, which by the way was the best thing to happen to me from a career standpoint. But when I got laid off, they said you've got 60 days, but if you want to leave before that, we'll pay you through 60 days, and they provided all the resources that they had to provide,
Right.
and yada yada yada. So I know that they met their legal requirements,
I
and
would
so
I
I
would
think it's,
imagine Illinois is similar to California in that respect anyway.
yeah, and I think there's certain things that you can do to meet those requirements, even if not a lawyer, don't play one on TV, so I can't really speak to it, but
Same here.
I do know that Twitter employees have
Okay.
filed suit. One thing I wanted to touch on is, speaking of Tesla being a public company, Twitter, as of 4 days ago, I think, is no longer, or maybe it was today. Actually, I think it was today that they got delisted from the stock exchange. So Twitter is now a privately held company,
Right.
which is concerning
Well,
because, well, so here's the thing. Like, as long as so Elon Musk, and I've said this about him a lot. Elon Musk is the type of person who will tweet first and think later. Not unlike certain ex-presidents that we've had. But the problem is that when Twitter was a publicly held company, there was an obligation to the shareholders
right.
to push the ball forward. And now that Twitter is a private company, I don't think that those types of protections are in place. So if Elon Musk wants to, you know, I don't know, block off 50% of users for implying for changing their username to Elon Musk, I think Twitter can do that now, because I don't think there's any obligation for them to actually
Well,
make any money.
anytime that you have a board to answer to,
He doesn't.
um, but that's what I'm saying is that
Right.
that does, even for Elon Musk, I think put some forces them to put some thought into what he does before he actually makes an action. Now
Right. But
he,
that's,
he
yeah.
can he can take actions without having to answer to a board, which gives him freedom to make sweeping changes much more rapidly.
Right.
But and without fear that, ironically, that tweets that he posts actually having financial repercussions for the company, unlike what it did with was it SpaceX?
Tesla and SpaceX
Yeah,
and
exactly.
about
And
every
and
other company that he's ever owned.
right, exactly. So
Yeah.
um what
And
Elon Musk going to do what Elon Musk going to do,
yeah,
this really does feel in a lot of ways unlike maybe some of his other companies. This feels like an experiment to me. Like
it feels like
this
it
feels
feels
like
like a
his
passion
play
project.
toy. A
Yeah,
passion
it feels
project for
like a
sure.
passion. Yeah,
Sure.
like a Plato. And just to clarify for those who are not aware, the first thing Elon Musk did after firing all the C-level executives at Twitter was to dissolve the board. So he is the board of directors now. So when I say he doesn't have a board to report to, he doesn't have a board to report to. He is the board.
Right.
So now, but you're right. I would say like so far not a heck of a lot has changed. Now, it probably will change for me at least a little bit because I am a verified user on Twitter for whatever that means. One of the things that Elon is doing is he wants to sell that coveted blue check mark for $8 per month. Which will be combined with a whole host of other Twitter Blue services.
Right.
Now,
Right. Exactly. It really just has become Twitter Blue.
I am not going to pay for that. So I would imagine my blue check mark will be removed at some point. Whether or not I will get a gray check mark is still in question. I don't know if you follow that story, Cliff, but
So
um,
yeah, and we should explain it, but
yes, we should.
there is a separate, I guess, is it the difference between a business verification
So the thing is,
versus
right now,
Twitter Blue?
well, so Twitter Blue will not have any type of identity verification criteria to get you that blue check mark. So basically, what's going to happen is anybody who forks over $8 a month, so what's going to happen is anybody who forks over $8 a month is going to get that blue check mark, whether they have sent in their driver's license or passport. I don't even remember what I had to send in, to be honest. I think my passport was involved. But anyway, so there's not going to be any verification like that. And so a lot of people have been asking, well, then how are we supposed to know who we're talking to is legitimate or not? So today, Twitter rolled out this official tag, which is a gray check mark, which will be given to prominent people. Okay, all right. So I think the best way to explain this is to just read off the tweet that I sent out earlier today, and I'll make it quick. It's very simple, but I'll explain it one more time. Up until now, some people had a blue check mark through a process called verification, where they had to prove that they were an important person by showing us their ID and linking to a website that referenced how important they were. Unfortunately, the people who ran that process weren't very good at their job, so we've decided to sell the blue check mark to anyone who pays us. So now everyone has a blue check mark as long as they pay. Great. Following so far? So now some of you have asked how we're supposed to know who is verified, and there's a very simple answer. We're going to give them a gray check mark. You see, it's different because it's gray, not blue. People will get a gray check mark through a process called verification, where they have to prove that they are an important person by showing us their ID and linking to a website that references how important they were. Fortunately, we have a team that's already built for verification and can get right to work on that gray check mark so we can sell the blue check mark. So you see, it's simple. Now wake up and get back to work. So I mean, basically, what they're saying is that this gray check mark with an official tag will be doled out to important
Right.
people, and according to Esther Crawford, who is an early stage products developer at Twitter, and God, she's going to be busy for a while. So she said, not all previously verified accounts will get the official label, and the label is not available for purchase. Accounts that will receive it will include government accounts, commercial companies, business partners, major media outlets, publishers, and some public figures. So I'm pretty sure I am not going to get that.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is fair. Yeah.
It's, I'm trying to think
So
of it. So it really feels like pay to play.
it is.
Payola, however
It
you
is.
want to call it, whatever you want to call it.
And now, to be fair, the original verification method was a shit show. It was an absolute
It
shit
was.
show. I mean, when
And
you look,
it felt so arbitrary, and you're like,
it was,
why
yeah.
was right? as
And
far
when
as who
you
was
look
verified
at
and who
like
was not.
yeah, when you look, I'm verified, okay? That's already a problem. And I think the only reason I'm verified is because I was with Digital Trends at the time. And I think it's because Digital Trends was verified.
Mhm.
I think that's how it works because I was talking to Josh over at Review Geek. And Review Geek is part of a suite of different sites: How To Geek, Life Savvy, yada yada yada. Well, I guess How To Geek and Life Savvy are both verified, but Review Geek for some reason is not, and they have applied and applied and applied, and Review Geek is not. So what Josh was saying was that because Review Geek is not verified, nobody that worked for Review Geek could get verified as well. Which I mean, like in our business, that affects your career. Like if you can't prove who you are, if you don't get that coveted blue check mark, that could seriously hold you back in your career. I don't know that it would be an exclamation point, but it would certainly be a comma. But anyway, so he was saying that he is kind of all for this because it'll finally get Review Geek verified so his people can get verified. And I'm
Right.
like, you're doing the right thing for your people, and I respect that. But at the same time, this is stupid. It's very, very dumb. I mean, there was every opportunity to just clean up the verification process, to come up with a set of rules and like, if necessary, hire a new team of people to fulfill this role because apparently the people that were there had no idea what they were doing, or at least fix that process. There was absolutely no need to flip over the buffet table and just say, fine, everybody gets a thing now. And then say, oh, wait, but now we're going to make a new thing that people can still apply for. That doesn't make sense at all. So the way I see it now, the only thing that this does do, the only thing that the gray check mark does is it allows them to hit the reset button on who's actually verified and who is
Right.
not.
As a separate thing, sure.
So, if there are people that aren't supposed to be verified, I guess you can't take away a blue check mark. So, and maybe they wanted to take my check mark, but they couldn't think of a way to do it. So they decided to give a check mark to everybody so that I am no longer special. And that's fine. So, I hadn't thought of that until just now, but I think that this is a way for Twitter to hit the reset button on who is verified and who is not.
So this is something else that I've been thinking about too, right? Because
Okay.
I mean, I guess you could say that as a business model, that maybe Facebook in its own ways, yeah, is similar in this respect. But I mean, Twitter as a business is one of the few businesses out there where the users are the product
Mm-hmm.
and the customers are actually the advertisers, right?
Yeah,
And
that's true.
advertisers are notoriously risk averse, right? Um,
Right.
and part of what has happened since Elon has taken over is that a lot of people that, for example, that were maybe, and I'm not getting into politics when I see this, but just having observed from the
Mm-hmm.
outside, people that had left the platform because they didn't agree with their content moderation policies have now come back,
Mm.
and so now I have definitely seen uh, what I would call more controversial content, to hot takes, if you will, and then there was a report that the use of the N word had increased like 600%
Hmm.
since he came back. Although he said that, when I say Elon says that in general that misinformation and things like that is actually down. But if with all of this influx of people, new users and users that are coming back, um, and their content is maybe what some people would call controversial, how is this going to affect their bottom line, which is advertising?
Right. And
Very
I think,
curious. And the real question, does Elon even care? I mean, he
well,
definitely seems to care because he is making efforts to make Twitter profitable, because he states anyway that it was losing $4 million a day.
right.
So I am curious to see how this line that they're walking of on one side, like trying to make it a platform for freedom of that supports freedom of speech,
Right.
how they balance that against actually wanting to make money off of the platform.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that, and I'm not a business analyst, but I don't think that just the selling the $8 a month subscription for Twitter Blue is going to be enough.
Right. No, I don't think so either. But what it does is it helps them diversify their revenue
Sure.
stream. So like they're not solely beholden to advertisers. Now they have, some type of recurring revenue coming in. And so but what did I see? I read somewhere, and I didn't get a chance to dig into this too deeply because I was probably editing 50 other Twitter stories at the same time.
All about Twitter, right? Exactly.
But there was something about how like the Twitter Blue plan was going to cost Twitter more money than it would actually gain them, because they would actually be losing money, because one of the things that Elon promised for the Twitter Blue was half the ads, or was less ads, or something like that. So they said that
for the YouTube premium of Twitter.
Yeah, I think they suggested that the Twitter Blue, I think they said they would be losing like 8. I want to say like something I read. There's the number 6 was involved somewhere. I don't know if they said they were going to make $6 off of Twitter Blue, or if they were going to lose $6 in advertising for every person that had Twitter Blue. So I guess they wouldn't be making as much as they thought, or maybe they were losing $6 per person even with Blue. I don't remember exactly what the details were, but it's just interesting that when you think about, there's like 400,000 Twitter Blue subscribers now, and that's at the $3 level, like the $3 or $5 level. I think the last time I was billed, it was 3. So the second I'm billed for 8, I'm canceling. But I think they said there were like 400,000 Twitter Blue subscribers, and if all 400,000 of those retained, then it'd be something like $72 million a year or something like that. Math is hard, but anyway, so
I am curious to see if there is a different tier for businesses.
Yeah, that will be interesting to find out. And I'm also interested to find out like how many, because the consensus that I have seen is that the people that have a blue check mark right now do not give a crap about their blue check mark. They will probably, like most of the people that I have seen have said, if you're going to charge for it, I'm just going to give it up, because we'll see. And that's the other thing, is one of the other promises that Elon Musk made about Twitter Blue was prioritization in replies and in search, which is, I mean, if you look into that, if people who pay are going to be prioritized, and people that don't pay are going to be borderline shadow banned.
Right.
From because you're going to get people that are replying to tweets and are never going to see those replies, because they're going to be pushed down below people that are actually subscribing. So anyway, we could spend 5 shows.
Yeah,
talking
I
about
will say
this.
that what you're talking about leads me to this was like the one negative, actually, what you just mentioned, the fact that non-verified, non-Twitter Blue content for or for content from those Twitter users would be basically buried.
Right.
And as I'm sure you've seen, there are a ton of people who are talking about going to alternative platforms, of which there aren't a whole lot for Twitter. And
I tried
so
Mastodon.
just very quickly, the whole
well.
Mastodon thing, which
it did
Mastodon
not go well.
is kind of similar to Twitter, but once you actually start looking into it, which I did just out of curiosity, because it had been a long time since I poked around, the issue is that it is based on hosted servers. And so, part of what I love, and I think most people that I know that use Twitter regularly love about Twitter, is the diverse community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people use it for news, but I have my little tech groups, and I, a little bit pop, but it's almost impossible to just transplant that over, because when you actually sign up for an account, then you're just given a list of servers. You have no idea who has gone where,
right,
or why.
Well, and the thing is,
it's not, for most people, something that's really a viable option.
Well, okay, yeah. So now there is the ability to see and communicate with people that are on different servers. So like it's just like email, a AOL person can email a Gmail person, that type of thing. But from what I've seen, yeah, Mastodon is not ready for an influx of Twitter users because like I signed up for Mastodon and it said, well, before we let you log in, we need you to verify your account. We've sent you an email, and that email arrived 18 hours later. So there's that. And from what I've seen, like I think Mastodon is kind of like Discord, but
Yeah,
but only if like Discord people could chat with other Discord people. Like in Discord right now, you can chat with the people that are in the room the server that you're in,
right.
and you can DM people like that are in different
Mhm.
servers. So I think it's kind of like that, but I don't think you're getting quite the same kind of public exposure that you would like on a Twitter. I think you're going to be limited to I don't know. It's Mastodon is not ready,
It
and
did seem to me like you're saying though that I've when I was thinking about alternative platforms, that Discord's probably the way to go if you're going to get rid of your Twitter account, which I'm
y-
not, at least right now.
yeah.
I've been on
So
there. I have so much invested
right.
emotionally, time wise,
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
that
I
stuff.
agree.
It's hard to give up, and Elon's really going to have to do some controversial things in order, and it won't even be necessary. I shouldn't say Elon will have to do controversial things. The platform will just have to not work for me
Right.
anymore.
And
So,
that's really what it boils down to. And same here, and I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but my usage of Twitter has not changed in the slightest in the last 2 weeks, and I
right.
don't anticipate it will change anytime soon. Um the only thing that will change, I think, is I'll go back to not having a blue check mark, and I think that's really about the only thing. So, like, we can all, clutch at our pearls and hem and haw, and oh my god, this is all terrible. The sky is falling. At the end of the day, I think most people are just going to stick with the platform,
Right.
dumpster fire that it may be, and I think they're just going to deal with it being a dumpster fire. I honestly think that's kind of where
It's
we're going to with
it's
it.
always in one form or another been kind of a dumpster fire though.
It has. Well, you know why? Because anytime you say anybody can come in and post, you're gonna get assholes,
Exactly.
and that's really what. And sometimes you're the asshole, but but you're gonna get assholes,
Yeah.
and then you have a choice. You can either say only the good people can post, in which case you have to come up with rules that determine who the good people are, or you have to deal with the assholes. You just have to let them be assholes, and advertisers tend to not like that. So that's kind of where we are. So, like I said, for now, not much is going to change from a personal day to day standpoint. I will still make fun of Elon Musk probably every day because
Just don't make your name Elon Musk and you'll be fine.
he's going to make rash, impetuous decisions without thinking about them first, probably on a daily basis, and I will be there to laugh at him, yell at him, or at least edit the articles that are
It
making fun of him.
it is actually really funny, just very quickly, to go and look at his social media his Twitter profile right now, because I don't remember the exact title he's given himself, but
Twitter
essentially he's made
complaint
himself the
hotline.
complaint department.
Yeah, yeah,
And I mean, really, he is responding to complaints from people, and
he
it's
is.
hilarious because he'll just say things like on it.
Yeah,
Like I just picture him in like sitting in like a dark office with the microphone slash headphones on, like
yep.
he's taking calls and he's just like responding to people and sending out emails.
He's dealing with 7,000 chats at once.
Right,
Um,
exactly. It's
but
just
but yeah, so like I said, with all the hemming and hawing going on, I don't think it's really going to change all that much. But we're gonna have to kind of wait and see how things
right.
shake out. But I think that's gonna just about do it for this episode of the podcast. Did you have any final thoughts that you wanted to share with us, Cliff?
Um, I hope my voice gets fixed before Twitter does.
That's true. I really hope that
'Cause
your
it's already
voice
been
gets
2
better
weeks, and I mean, my
before.
voice has been broken as long as Twitter has been with Musk.
My goodness, yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing your dulcet
The dulcet
tones
tones return.
again. But yeah, for now, I think we can go ahead and say that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. Please consider subscribing to this podcast if you enjoyed it. And if you really enjoyed it, I would love it if you would write a review for the show in your podcast listener, or if you're watching this on YouTube, click that subscribe button so you can be notified of new episodes and reviews as they drop. If you want some early access, jump onto Patreon at patreon.com/benefit of a doubt. I'd like to thank co-producer Cliff for all of his hard work behind the scenes and for not dying all the way. I very much appreciate that. But most of all, and as always, I would like to thank you for listening. Ooh, I'm cracking. I'd like to thank you for listening and for giving us the benefit of the doubt.